Again, I think that's absolutely fascinating. You know, every time you get around great players, you hear, I hear something that I didn't know every single time. I think that's really interesting. Okay, one more. Stay there, stay there, stay there. Now you'll notice, can you just hit one more point, please, Patricia? Do you have any feelings on the technique itself to get that contact that's so important, Daniel? I know that, I mean, Jeff's worked a lot with that open hand drill with you. Is that something you would do when you're chipping?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I do every time I chip. And the open hand drill really is what allows you to feel like the connection between your body and your arms. So when I chip, the only thought or feeling that I have is that my body and hands are all kind of moving in sync. And you find a lot of times when you see guys, they get the thin ones, they get the fat ones, it's all hands, or there's not really togetherness, that I call it.
Let me just if you could hold my mic for me. Let me just show the open hand drill for those that didn't come to the clinic we did last year. The open hand drill, I believe, is where you put your left hand on the club as per normal, and then put your right hand on in a...
Yep.
Now, is the palm of the right hand actually touching the club?
Yeah, the palm is touching, and it's something that when you first start out is going to be really difficult, but as you can see when he does that, how the chest and the shoulders and the body and the arms, everything is kind of moving in sync. And you're definitely going to struggle with this at first, but that's probably because you're not quite using all these pieces together. But as you continue to practice it, you're going to get better and you're going to feel what that feels like.
I think that open hand drill, if you would just learn to chip with it, would probably find its way through your whole golf swing. It's a fantastic drill. I was so intrigued when Daniel talked about that last time he was here. And it's a great drill for chipping and pitching, but you can use it for your full swing too. Those of you that hold the club too tightly with their right hand, if there's anybody here who does that, Shelby.
Bienvenue à tous, nous sommes à l'Ibis Golf Club pour la 3e année consécutive avec Martin Hall qui a la gentillesse de nous recevoir. Good morning Martin.
Comme ça?
Très très bien, very
good,
well.
Good, nice to have you here.
Same here. So, two thanks for you. The first, it's again to receive me in your beautiful academy at Ibis Golf Club. And to thank you also for your great invitational to Golf Channel to visit the Golf Channel, which is a very, very impressive channel, a company, huge.
It's big, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's big.
Check. 9 years you have worked for your program.
Yeah.
So it's what is your point of view now after these 9 years?
Well, I think the main reason I do television is to get the message out to the world, about the game that I love. That, you know, it goes to, I think it goes to 128 countries around the world, goes to a lot of people, and people that I will never meet might know something about golf in India or Indonesia or Japan or South Africa or somewhere, and help them play this game a bit better.
My 5 annual question for you. And the first is
1, 2, 4.
1, 2, 3.
Ah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was trying to miss one out.
4, 5. So the first is about the basic.
Yeah.
It's never very funny to have a lesson with the basic. Only those who have the patience to do simple things perfectly will acquire the skill to do difficult things easily. It was from James Corbett. It's not from yesterday, but it was one of the first papa of the modern boxing, and I think we can still have this in mind.
Yeah, I think that people who are really good at golf are brilliant at the basics. Michael Jordan, the American basketball player, said what made him so good was he was brilliant at the basics, and most people don't want to do the basics. Most people think there is a secret, and perhaps it's the right elbow at the end of the backswing, or the right. That's not the secret. The secret, if there is a secret, the answer perhaps we could say, is to be really, really good at some of the basic boring stuff. And certainly nothing in golf will influence your game more than how you put this hand, your lead hand, your left hand, usually your glove hand.
The lead arms.
Yeah. Nothing will influence your game more than how you put the lead hand on the golf club. And most people think they have a good, I'll say, left-hand grip for right-hand golfers. And I would say most people don't. Out of every 100 people that come and see me, unless it's a playing professional, I would say 90 of them need some type of small adjustment in the left-hand grip. I think this hand is much more important
than the right?
Than the right hand. I mean, the right hand matters, but I think where you put the club in the lead hand, that the heel pad sits on top of the club, that the club, for me, the club is not in the fingers. Some people say that. I don't agree with that. I certainly don't think it's in the palm. I think it's partially in the fingers, and the heel pad sits on top of the club, and the grip is secure. I think the idea that you hold the club lightly is not true. You don't crush it, but I don't think you hold it that lightly. So I think getting the basics right, whether it's your ball position, whether it's your posture, whether it's your grip, they are mundane, they are boring, and they are vitally important.
When I teach in stage, and they say, okay, today we're going to do the basic, everybody say, okay, but we know the grip, we know the posture, tell us something more important.
Well, so it's interesting you say that. So when I do clinics and people will respond to me, I know that. As I've gotten older, I just respond with, no, you don't. Yes. That's my answer to them. You only think you know it. You don't know it. And most people don't.
If you want to become good in golf, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Can you explain us this with one example?
Yeah, well, I think particularly that would be, Michel, that would be in how people stand to the ball, how they bend the hips and where they put the weight, and the posture is a very good example. And you know, you might put people in, you and I might put people in what's a very good posture, where they bend and get the weight underneath the arches, and you know, have the chin up somewhat and the arms hanging, and you and I will think it looks good, and you know, Mr. Smith will say that feels uncomfortable. I tend to say these days, I don't care. Correct is way more important than comfortable, and I don't think there's anything in the rules of golf from the R&A or the USGA that says you will get a 2-shot penalty if you are not comfortable over the golf ball. Most people, I would say this to you, wherever you might be watching this, if you are feeling very comfortable, there is an excellent chance it's completely wrong. If it's comfortable, it's probably wrong. I think maybe on a good day, Tiger Woods is comfortable. Maybe on a good day, Ricky Fowler's comfortable. But most of the time, something should feel off a little bit, and you're fighting your tendencies. So I never tell people to get comfortable over the ball. It's just I would never say it. I want correct as opposed to comfortable. Now, if you practice something and it's correct over a period of time, that becomes the new normal. And in time, people would say, now it's starting to feel a bit more comfortable. But it takes a lot of repetitions for things to become comfortable.
The swing sequence, it's really a question for people, even for pro. How do we start? What do we feel when we are in the takeaway? It's a pro in France. His name is Thierry Maton. He's a master pro in La Bretèche, a beautiful golf course, and sure. he asks you this question. He will be happy to see that I talk about him. What do you feel when you? How do you teach the way to start a swing?
Well, I have my preferences, but what I teach will definitely depend on what the student in front of me is doing. I don't think there is a perfect takeaway. There's been too many. You know, there's the Jim Furyk's, there's the Raymond Floyd's, there's the Matt Kuchars these days, flat swing. So I don't think there's a perfect takeaway. I do think, I mean, if you look at, you've looked at my academy here, I think the swing plane is a very, very good line, a very good guideline. I call that my North Star, like the, you know, the people of the sailors around the world, they need the North Star wherever they may be to keep their ship moving in the right direction. I think having a swing plane is very good to keep the club moving about where it should be. If you're asking for my preference on the takeaway, it would be this. I like to see the lead shoulder push the club back. This is what I got from Jack Nicklaus. And Jack said he always felt the lead shoulder push the club back, and he said for him this was very important. The club head must never go faster than the lead shoulder, than the left shoulder in the takeaway. So he felt he pushed the club back, and as he did that, he felt that the upward extension of the club stayed between his arms until his hands had passed his right leg. So that's what I like to teach in the takeaway. I like it to be on plane. I like the lead shoulder to push the club back. I like the club to stay between the arms until the hands have passed the right leg, and then I like the wrist to hinge. I don't like teaching an early wrist set because I think people do bad things with that for the most part.
Me, in my quotidian, everyday work, I see most of the time people who turn too quick, too soon.
Yeah, they do, and the club goes under the plane, and the shoulders are generally turning too level. I think a lot of people think too much of turning the shoulders and not enough of there's some tilt as you turn. I think having some tilt is very important. I think if all you think about is turning your shoulders, you will almost certainly drag the club around you too much, and then it's a really hard task to get back. So I might tell some people to get the left shoulder under the chin. I have no problem with that in the backswing.
It's a great tips, and thank you, Martin, for again this precision.
I think you have to have models. I don't think you have to stick to the models, but just like a scientist who's trying to solve a problem, or a mathematician who's trying to solve a problem, you start with the model, you start with the theory. Now you might move off it a little bit, but I think it's good to have a model to start with, a framework.
Reference.
Yeah, a reference. Now, so Bob would say, and I like this, Bob would say, you swing, you turn, and you shift your weight. So Bob's backswing would be swing, turn, shift, and then he would say the downswing is exactly reversed. It would be shift, turn, swing. Now I particularly like that because we both know most club golfers, even if they get the backswing correct, but most club golfers wouldn't go swing, turn, shift, shift, turn, swing. Most golfers would go swing, turn, shift, swing. And they swing too soon. It's not that they swing too fast. It might look too fast, but they're not swinging faster than Dustin Johnson, so they don't actually swing too fast. But they definitely swing too soon. So I think players having enough time as they change directions, enough time with the hands that the body can move, and then the arms start to speed up. I don't tell people that everything catches up at impact. I don't think that's at all true. I think, I'm not sure where everything catches up in golf, but it certainly isn't impact. If there is a catch-up point where the arms and hands catch up with the hips and shoulders, it might be out there. But you don't want everything to catch up at impact. I think that's this whole idea that there's a horse race from here down to impact and they've all got to get to the finish line together. I thoroughly, utterly hate that idea. Just in case you're interested. My favourite drill for that I got from a man called Mike Austin. It's simple, but it's really good. My favourite drill by far is to just take the club in the lead hand, put the trail hand in front of the lead arm, and then just go to the top and holding my left arm with my right, just learn to advance the arms, but do it with a weight shift, do it with a shift, do it with a rotation, do it with a tilt. So I think the downswing sequence is shift, rotate, and then swing.
Now a general approach of the game, the fourth question, is how can the game be really a game by people, because it's not the reality?
Do you mean actually out on the golf course? How should the average golfer try and play?
When we see all this beautiful golf course, it's supposed to be a good time and relax. We play golf to relax, of course, to do good things, birdies and everything, but to relax. But when we see people on, of course I talk about amateur because they're going to watch you, they are not very relaxed. And the advice who arrive in their head, it's a game, it's just a game, have fun, it's a game. But it's not a game. How can it be really a game? Me, I have my idea.
Well, so I think you do hear professionals say that, and they have a good round and say, I just decided to go out and have fun and play like I was 15 years of age again. Well, they were really good when they were 15. It isn't that they were duffing the ball along the ground. So I don't know that just go and have fun is a great idea for the average golfer. Okay. I don't know how you do that. I do know this though, I have a formula for frustration. Everybody gets somewhat frustrated with this game, everybody. But I have a formula that you could write on a whiteboard for frustration. I say frustration is expectation minus reality. Frustration is expectation minus reality. And when people get all angry and cross and worked up, that's because they have this expectation that they should be able to do something.
Too high.
Too high, absolutely too high. And most people's expectations in golf are too high. They are unrealistic. If people had no expectations, they'd never get angry on the golf course. If they had realistic expectations, they might get slightly irritated as opposed to wildly furious. So I think one thing would be adjusting your expectations. Nobody would expect to play tennis like Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer. People don't expect to do that, but people do expect to play golf like the best players in the world, and it sets them up for a lot of disappointment. So I think number one, you adjust your expectation level. Number two, something I got from the great Annika Sorenstam, one of the best players I've ever seen, was that she said she would never try a shot on the golf course if she didn't think she had at least a 70% chance of pulling it off. So I call that the 70% rule. If you wouldn't bet every euro you've got that you can pull this off 70% of the time, then you shouldn't be doing that.
It means you have to think before each shot, but it's not really the reality. Because people go quickly in their ball, oh, there is people behind us, we have to go fast, blah, 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 blah. And it's more se débarrasser.
I think to that point, that's true, they do, but to that point, where people should be quick is people should be quick between shots.
Of course.
They should. I mean, in France, I'm sure you walk, you probably don't have too many golf carts, which is how I think golf should be played. But you need to hit your shot and then get to your next shot quickly, walk quickly, get there quickly.
Totally agree.
And I think it's okay to take time over the shot. On the PGA Tour, they allow them about 40 seconds to hit the shot. So why do you play golf? I think that's, why, the gentleman that's down there, say, why are you playing golf? Are you trying to be the next world number one? Oh dear, I have some bad news for you. I mean, that's just not happening.
Yes.
But, wherever we play golf, whether it's, Le Touquet, San Nom, Le Bretèche, Evian, anywhere around the world, here in Florida, Pebble Beach that we were talking about, anywhere around the world, we're playing the most unbelievable places. They're so beautiful, and we shouldn't miss that. We definitely shouldn't miss that.
Cinquième question is
enfin
general advice, and your point of view is for us very important. It's how can you put golf or get golf for a country more popular? Because For us in France, it's really a problem because the picture of the golf is to be for rich people, and we have really some problem to change our image to get more members, licenciés.
Well, I think there's a couple of things, and it's a great question for all of us around the world. How do we grow the game? How do we stop people leaving the game? I think it's helpful if people get used to playing just 9 holes, not 18 holes. I think when you play 18 holes, it takes a long time. It can take 5 hours, and then you have some lunch afterwards, and suddenly the day is gone. So, you know, with my wife, we often just play a quick 9 holes. That would be number one. Number two, I'm sure there are many courses in France where you still have caddies, and I think we should encourage the clubs to allow the caddies to play at some point, as that's how Série started to play his golf. Something I ask all the people I teach to do is, this year, just invite one person who doesn't play golf to come and play golf with you. I think if all of us would invite one more person each year, in 10 years we would have all invited 10 people,
Of course.
and they could invite 10 people, and I think that's a big deal. That you know, in America, the PGA of America have this initiative to grow the game, and they say, how should we grow the game? I have a strong opinion on that. You grow the game one person at a time. I don't think you can grow the game 50 people at a time, 1,000 people at a time. So I think you and Stefan and me and Michael and anybody else, we need to think, how many people can I bring to the game this year, and then perhaps how many can they bring. I think we have to make it easy for people to get on golf courses. That's a challenge. I don't know if you have any municipal golf courses in France or low-fee golf courses. It's a challenge. It's a challenge over here too. I mean, certain places do, certain places don't, and I think it is a challenge facing the French Federation, facing the golfers of Great Britain.
Everyday work in every club. It's a work of every day. We say in France it's a travail de fourmi.
Yeah.
Travail de fourmi. But okay, we're gonna keep this idea finally simple and logical. Okay. Conclusion. Today I will do what others want, so tomorrow I can do what others can't.
Yeah, Jerry
I can
Rice.
accomplish what others can't. So Jerry Rice was your first year I met you. Second years, you told me easy choice, hard life. Hard choice, easy life. Third year, today, it's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. It's from Paul Bryant.
Yeah, I think that's he was a famous American football coach, and I think that's absolutely true. I think what people who are highly successful do, they do all the stuff that people who would like to be successful do. They do all the stuff they won't do, and I think what makes people successful is you continue to do what you said you would do long after the feeling has left you, and I think that's really, really important. I think if you're going to be successful, you have to force yourself to do a lot of stuff you don't want to do. I mean, my right hand man Michael knows that I try and make myself do some things every day that I do not want to do, that I would rather not do. But I know if I can every day, if I do 3 or 4 things I really don't want to do, over a week, over a month, over a year, that adds up.
Me, I have a personal one for you. It's if you want to teach something to Martin Hall, you better change of sport, because it's impossible in golf.
Oh, no, you see, no, that's not true.
It's
because
mine this year.
No, not at all. Because I'm still learning, I'm always experimenting. We have a lot of new technology now, and we can measure things that we thought were right, and some of them are and some of them are. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff coming out where we can actually measure. We have sensors we can put on the hands, hack motion, K-Vest, 4D. We can actually measure what that lead wrist is doing in the swing, and I think that's incredibly helpful with the feedback. So I cannot let you say there's nothing for Martin Hall to learn.
No.
There's this much for Martin Hall to learn, I assure you.
Imagine us. But Palmer said the same thing. He said, I learn every day, Palmer.
Yes.
And my driving range, it's my home.
Absolutely.
That's what he said. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Good to see you again.
You know that you are one of the best things happen in my life.
Well, that's very kind. We will look forward to doing it next year.
Yes, I hope.
I hope so too. Golf was never easy for me. Playing golf was never easy. I think people who find golf easy probably don't teach the game very well. I worked for Jack Nicklaus for 7 years.
Yes.
He always found the game easy. And whenever we would do a clinic together, he would say to me, Martin, why don't they just swing properly? Like, because they can't, Jack, that's why. It's you know, for most of us, it's a very difficult game. And so I think we have to break it down into pieces, and I think you have to associate with things that we can all understand, like kicking a soccer ball, or, you know, for us, watching somebody pass in rugby or something like that. And because I think we all have associations that we can then draw back to the game of golf. So that's why I do it the way I do it.